Hi, I'm Cindy, and this is the Community Effect Podcast. On this show, we talk about all things teaching and learning, from building authentic relationships to creating a classroom culture where students thrive. We dig into mindset, motivation, engagement, and behavior, because real classroom success isn't just about lesson plans. It's about the community you build. These are conversations for teachers who want more than to just survive. And these are strategies for educators who are ready to take their community to the next level. This is the Community Effect Podcast. Hey, teacher friends, welcome back to the Community Effect Podcast. We're continuing our mindset series today with a conversation that's both powerful and practical. One that has the potential to transform how you plan, how you teach, and how you feel about your work at the end of the day. We're talking about the mindset shift that turns assessment into a real-time teaching superpower. And let's be honest, when most of us hear the word assessment, we don't think superpower. We think stress, tests, grades, pressure. Am I right? But here's the reframe I want to offer you. Assessment, when used in real time, is not about collecting scores. It's about collecting insight. When you use assessment to inform your teaching as you go, you step out of the reaction mode and into reflection. You become more responsive, effective, and less overwhelmed. And that's what we're going to unpack today. Here's the shift. In this mindset, assessment isn't something you do after the lesson. It's something you do during the learning, and it isn't about tests or grading. It's about paying attention, noticing patterns, listening closely, and making adjustments before the whole class drifts off track. When you teach with this mindset, you stop relying on the end of the unit assessment to tell you what's happened, and you start noticing what's happening right now. Why? Because the focus shifts from compliance to clarity, from checking boxes to responding with purpose. Every exit slip, every confused glance, every unexpected student response, it's all data. And not the kind that overwhelms you, the kind that empowers you. This mindset isn't about being perfect. It's about being present. Think of it as a feedback loop. Teach, check in, adjust, repeat. It's not fancy. It's just intentional. And that intention is what helps you teach with confidence and clarity, because you're not guessing. You're grounded in what your students actually need. Let me give you a concrete example. In a math unit, I gave a short quiz on fractions. Nothing fancy, just 4 problems targeting one concept. When I reviewed the results, I noticed that a large portion of the class had missed the first problem. That told me something really critical. It told me that they didn't understand the foundational piece of the skill. So I paused and I retaught the concept in a new way, using visuals and manipulatives. By the end of the week, student understanding had doubled, but not because I worked harder, because I responded better. And that quiz, it did not need to be a grade in the grade book. It was feedback from me. Let me give you an example of what this looks like in practice. Let's say you taught a lesson on main idea and supporting details, where you provided concrete examples, you modeled the skill, and you had students discuss. Today, you're going to continue with that lesson by having students work with partners to identify main idea and supporting details in a variety of texts. But as you walk the room and listen in, you're noticing that a few groups are struggling with the task, and there are others that are having a wide range of responses. You know the students are going to be getting ready to go to specials soon, and your plan was to continue with this lesson when they returned. But before moving on, you stop and you ask a few questions. You're wondering, can the students actually explain this concept back to me? Or can they truly transfer this to a new passage? You want to know where they're struggling, so you decide to give a 2-question exit ticket. That way you can clearly identify students' level of understanding. When you collect the exit tickets, you scan for trends and notice a common misunderstanding. Now you can address the misconceptions when the students return, and then they can get back to working with their partners. This mindset invites curiosity, not criticism. It's a way to improve your effectiveness without judgment. And who knows, maybe tomorrow you'll need to pivot again and reteach this skill using a different model to give the students more time to apply it in small groups so that they have a solid understanding of the concept. That's assessment in action. You didn't wait for a quiz. You didn't need a rubric. You noticed, you responded, and you adjusted, all in the moment. And that is the power of this shift. When you adopt this mind frame, assessment becomes a mirror. It reflects where your instruction hit and where it missed. It guides your next move instead of simply labeling student performance. It empowers you to close gaps before they widen. And guess what? It makes your grading process more meaningful and less stressful because you're no longer grading every single assignment out of obligation. So, how exactly do you build this into your teaching? Here are a few simple ways to check in with your students in the moment without adding more to your plate. Number 1, use visuals. Hand signals like thumbs up, thumbs down, or fist to 5, those are a really quick pulse check in real time. It takes 10 seconds and it gives you instant feedback on student confidence. Number 2, a stop and jot. Mid-lesson, pause the class and ask students to write down a quick response to a prompt. It could be, what is one thing that you're understanding so far? Or where do you still have questions? Then walk the room, collect a few of them, and scan for information. Number 3, listen intentionally. Instead of circulating around the room to check for behavior, listen for student discourse that reveals their understanding or their confusions. You can make a mental note or you can write physical notes and use that to guide your next steps. Number 4, use a 1-minute exit ticket. Not a full-blown quiz, just 1 or 2 questions, 1 minute before dismissal or right after a lesson. It helps reveal some of the core misconceptions. You can use that to shape tomorrow's warm-up, or you can pull a small group. Number 5, invite student reflection. Ask students to rate their own understanding or confidence on a sticky note. Over time, this builds metacognition for students because it helps them reflect on their learning, and it gives you insight to who needs support. There are a couple ways you can do that. You could draw a line on the whiteboard, and you could have a continuum from I'm struggling, I got it, to I'm rocking it. Students can place their sticky note on that continuum, and then you can see exactly where student learning is falling. Another way to do that is to use a human graph. Have students line up on an imaginary line on the carpet and have them place themselves where they feel most comfortable. Once they're in line, fold the line so that your students who have the most confidence in that concept are paired up with students who are struggling the most. They can have a conversation and share what they've learned so far and what they're still struggling with. Remember, we want to instill a growth mindset and reinforce that failure is just their first attempt at learning. And all these strategies give you meaningful feedback about your teaching and about student learning. They also give students time and grace to build on their conceptual understanding without the risk of getting an F. So let's shift from grading everything to spot checking for insight, because I truly believe that we should only assign a grade once we've provided enough opportunity for students to clearly learn, practice, and apply the concept. Using short, targeted checks for understanding to guide your next steps makes it easy for you not to have to grade everything. Here's something else you can try. Try building a feedback loop. Share your reflections with students. Say, based on what I saw yesterday, we're going to slow down and revisit this concept together. It builds trust and it models reflective learning. Make it a practice to have students reflect on their own understanding before turning in their work. Use checklists, rubrics, or reflection journals where students can explain where they are with the learning target at the end of the lesson. This builds students' metacognition, slows them down a bit so that they can begin to identify and articulate what they are learning. And then you can use that reflection to help shape your instruction. Also consider track trends, not just grades. Keep a simple journal or a notes column where you jot down what you're noticing about patterns in student learning. What strategies were working well with students? How often did you find yourself course correcting and reteaching the lesson in a more concrete way? Are there certain students who are often struggling with concepts the first time they're introduced? That insight becomes your roadmap. You might find that you need to include multiple entry points to a lesson or pre-assess to find out how much students know about a topic or a concept before planning it. What I love about this shift is that it pulls you back into the driver's seat. You're no longer flying blind and hoping that lessons land. You're collecting feedback as you go, and you're using it to guide your next move. This mindset creates momentum and alignment, and it gives you something every teacher needs in this season, a sense of control and clarity. Assessment doesn't have to be a burden. It can be a bridge between intention and clarity, between teaching and growth. When you see assessment as feedback about your impact, you begin to teach with more precision, confidence, and compassion. You're not teaching in the dark anymore. You're paying attention and responding in real time and growing alongside your students. That's what impact-focused teaching is all about. So this week, I want to challenge you to build in one real-time check-in that you've never tried before. It might be a thumbs-up check, or a quick student reflection, or maybe even a question at the end of class. Whatever it looks like, do it and notice what you learn. And if you want a little extra help getting started, I've created a free resource for you. It's called the Quick Assessment Strategy Cheat Sheet. It has 11 strategies that will help you tune in to students' thinking, adjust your teaching, and stay grounded in your impact without adding more to your workload. You can grab that through the link in the show notes. And don't forget, you can also grab the other resources in this series. You've got the tools and you've got the heart, so let's keep growing. And hey, if this episode gave you something helpful to think about, would you send it to a teacher friend? These small shifts are easier when we make them together. Next week, we're going to wrap up our series with a deep dive into collaboration, the mindset that multiplies everything we've explored so far. It's all about teaching as a team sport, and I can't wait. I think you're going to love it. Okay, my friends, well, that is a wrap. I truly appreciate you hanging out with me. Don't forget to hit subscribe or follow so you don't miss an episode. And come say hi on Instagram at crobin.kids. I'd love to hear how these strategies are working with you and your students. Until then, keep reflecting and keep growing. You've got this. I'll see you next time on the Community Effect Podcast. Have a great day.